Hello everyone, it's Catherine here from Inky Fingered Cat. I'm here with some cards I've made for my Festive Friday. So for those who don't know, Festive Friday is what I do every Friday. I make a Christmas project of some description. Originally, when I got out those papers, I was going to use those floral papers and not make a Christmas card, but then I spotted this sort of like knit pattern and thought, yeah, I'm going to make Christmas cards. Just that's what happens. Sometimes your brain goes a totally different way. So, yeah, I'm making this in advance. I am not doing this for the day that it's being posted or anything. This is made quite a few weeks in advance of when it's going to get posted. But yeah, there you go. These things happen. So I've got two different pieces of knit paper. Those papers are from Making Cards magazine, old stash that I've had for a long time. And yeah, I'm in a little bit of a bid to use them up at the moment. I've just made 2 other batches of cards using the same thing only yesterday. So not the same pattern paper, but those papers. So I've decided I'm going to use these stencils from Waffleflower, which is the first time I've actually got around to using them. I bought them a good few weeks ago, thinking I'd use them. In fact, I bought them early July, thinking I'd use them for Christmas in July, and I never got around to using them. So, yeah, I am starting with the wrong stencil. That's the other thing that happens here. So I cut down some white cardstock and I started with the stencil in the middle. And really what I should have done was start with a number 1 or a number 3 stencil. So I fiddle around a little bit because I can't quite get this to line up. And I'm like, I don't understand why this is so difficult. I sort of get it lined up and then I think, no, I genuinely don't think that's lined up. Realise that that's because I'd used stencil number 2, and if I use stencil number 1 first, that makes it a lot easier. So a little bit of a hint and tip if you're using these overlapping Christmas words, stencils, yeah, start with stencil number 1. It also makes sense colour-wise if you do that as well, because going over red doesn't really make a huge amount of sense when you're going to put green next to it, because you end up with a bit of a brown colour. But do you know what? It all looks lovely in the end, so it's all fine. So yeah, for my pattern papers in the background, you'll see the strip that was smaller, I have mounted with some white just to give it some definition. And of those 2 prints, there's like one that's a tiny knit print and one that's a bigger knit print, but otherwise they're just knitted jumper type background, and I thought it would work well. For a Christmas card, again, at the beginning, didn't have a plan because I thought I was going to do something floral, but don't end up doing that. And so this gorgeous stencil set, obviously you make a card as it is, but it comes with coordinating dies that cuts out every single one of those words, which is fabulous, and then 2 dies that cut out the star shapes. Again, because of the colours that I've chosen, my stars are a bit wonky in terms of colour. They sort of look like a bit black, but they still work and they're fine for on the actual cards that I'm doing, because it's such a heavily printed piece with lots of colours. It kind of works fine. I die cut from scraps the words again. I had to do this twice because I haven't got a scrap that was quite big enough for going across and down. Just so I can stack them up a little bit. Normally I stack 3 times, but this time I only stacked twice, with the exception of the ampersand, because I happen to be able to have cut that out twice. But yeah, yeah, normally I would stack twice. It's so there was 3 layers, sorry, and the reason for that is that this is quite thin cardstock for a start, and also I like the dimension it gives. So this I learned to do from Jennifer Maguire. I know there's plenty of other crafters out there that do that, but I know she loves stacking die cuts, and I've just got into the habit of doing it now. And I tend to die cut scraps that are out on the desk rather than going and cutting into new pieces of cardstock when I'm doing this. So I'm just now working out how do I want this to be, and I've decided I'm going to split the sentiments up in that way. So I've got Merry Christmas and Happy New Year for one card, and Joy, Love, Peace for the other. Now, in my Christmas box, I did a load of die cutting at one point during Christmas in July, and die cut a whole load of these dies, again, because I'd got the supplies out at hand, and that included these beautiful, really intricate looking wreaths. So these are die cut and stacked a couple of times already, but they're already done, they're in a pouch, ready for me to use, and that I find so easy to just have a bit of a grab and go. So yeah, some of this has been created as I've gone along, and some of it I'm just grabbing supplies from the stash. So on one of the wreaths I added the tiny little stars where the stars were, and on this one I'm going to scatter stars across the page, so not quite the same on the wreath. And the wreath on this one I also go in with some gems a little bit later. I'm mainly using wet glue at this point. I do occasionally go for my ATG, but it actually runs out whilst I'm making these cards. So yeah, I'm then mixing between that for the flat pieces of paper and my wet glue. Sometimes using it directly out of the bottle, and sometimes it's out of the one with the needle point. Needle point just allows you to get tiny, tiny little dots of glue, which is perfect. Now the card blanks I've gone for are 6x6, and that panel was just slightly wider than the 6-inch card, so I just had to trim that down. I do like the fact that you've got that little border on either side at the top of the bottom, and here I'm just adding those little gems to the centre of the stars on the wreath. And on this one I've gone for black as my focal point, as my main point that goes around, and again just adding that down. Didn't quite add it straight the first time. Not entirely convinced it was straight the second time, but it was better. And the black on this one just allows for us to see more of that wreath. It stands out a little bit more against that darker, it feels like a darker, with it being the smaller knit, a darker piece of paper. And again, I'm going to add down my little sentiments. I love that stencil. I think it's really cool. I'm imagining, whilst I'm now editing this, going, there you go, TG over it. I'm imagining whilst I'm doing this that I'm going, oh, that would look really nice in blues and purples, wouldn't it? Like a frosty type finish. I think that would look really nice. I decided to add this, these card candy just to this one, just to finish off, because those black pieces just looked a little bit big. And on the inside of the card I've just got those 2 remaining strips of the paper, so I'm just going to add them in because they're not going to get used otherwise, and at least then we've got some use for them. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please do join me. I don't film all of my Festive Fridays, so please do pop over to my blog to check out what I'm getting up to, because I don't film every project that I make. But please do like if you enjoyed. Leave me a comment below. Do you make Christmas cards all year round as well? And how do you like my very funky cards? And please subscribe if you want to see more. There's more videos coming up. I make all sorts of different stuff. Mainly cards, but also some scrapbooking. So please do follow along. Until next time, bye-bye.